Welcome back to Dubbzi Bricks for another episode of building Gotham City in Lego. In the last few updates, we've been working on the Joker Funhouse here, and I'm just waiting for an order to come in, which enabled me to do the hair on the Joker face just there, and the support structure, and a couple of other details on there. So whilst I'm waiting for those to come in, I thought I'd turn my attentions back to an old building which has seen better days. And that building is the Flatiron-esque building. Now, when I first designed this building, it was in grey, and it was going to be the GCPD. I then changed my mind with what the GCPD would look like several times. And then I decided I was actually going to change this over and make this into a tan coloured building. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to redesign the floor, the base level of this. Now, the last time I had this on display, it had a garage below it or a car park entrance below it. That's not going to be the case this time, so I need to redo the bottom level of this. I want to have a more impressive entrance into the building than what I had previously, and then we'll work our way up. Now, with this building, I am considering making it the Gotham Gazette. It's just something I think about at the moment, but what I'm going to do first of all is dig out a whole load of window pieces, as this building's never had many windows in it. I think it's just on one floor, but I have got a load more window pieces now, so hopefully they'll be sufficient to get the whole building done. But without further ado, let's make a start on that ground floor and see what we can come up with. And here we have the new base for the building, and I've added some steps in the middle of the side here, and I thought this was probably the best place to have the entrance to the building as opposed to down the end here. So what I'm going to do now is start building the walls up and see what design we can come up for this bottom floor. And here we have the lower floor, and I put a bit of a cover to come out over here, and I'll add the details onto this later. I'm not sure what sort of finish I'm going to have on there, but I will put a couple of pillars on the corners just to do a support beam for it. Now, with the arches that I've done down here, I'm not 100% sold on those just yet, so I'm just going to carry on building up, see how it looks once I've done the next section along, and then if I'm unhappy with it still, then I'll come back down and address it again. And that's the next set of arches on the front of the building here. And already I'm starting to see things I want to amend on there. And it's good that it's happening now rather than when I get a lot further up. This part here, I think, sticks out way too much. So I'm going to reduce it by about 3 studs, I reckon, just so it comes out 1 stud further than these tiles do here. It's going to help to show the arch behind it. And I'm still considering amending this part just here. I am wondering whether, if I have planters in front of this with some trees in between the windows, whether or not that will break it up and make it look a lot better. Certainly the pop of green on there would be most welcome. Now, I do need to put some tiles across here, but all of those little details I will work on a little bit later, and I am considering just changing this bit here and giving it a little bit more detail as well. But what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to first of all remove those plates there, swap them over for smaller plates, do the other side, and then we'll concentrate on the front section just here. that's the bottom 2 levels pretty much done. Really happy with how this end section here has come out. It is very similar to the previous style that I did on here, but I've added the gold pieces compared with last time, and I really do think it adds a lot more to the build. I think I had them on the uprights here, but I didn't have these ones along the bottom. Now with the front section just here, I have amended it as you'd have seen in the time lapse, and I've added extra arches along the bottom, and I think that looks much better. Top section, I didn't line that window up initially, so I had to change it, but yeah, got there eventually. But yeah, really happy with how this has come out. Obviously still need to do the tiling around the steps, but that's something I can do in a little while. But what I'm going to do now is just put a support beam across from one side to the other to stop these moving in, tile it all off, and then we can make a start on the floor above. Here we have the next section of the build, and this is one that managed to survive relatively well, and I want to do a little bit of work to this. I'm not 100% happy with the uprights that are either side of the window. I was at one stage considering doing them all in the dark tan. However, I do quite like the idea of having the 2 different colours there as the main colour. So I think I will stick with that. I think once I've got the windows in there, that will make a big change. And also the gap for the windows is going to be larger now. It's going to be 2 of the 3x2 windows as opposed to a 3x2 and a 2x2. So I'm just going to start the next floor. I'm going to make up the next section of floor for it to go on, which should be the one at the top there, as that got broken when we had a little bit of an accident. So I'll do that, and then I'll start constructing a new one, and then I can compare it to this one that we've already got here. And here is the start of that next floor, and a lot happier with these uprights having a combination of the 2 different styles on here as opposed to this one where it was either that or that. And also on the windows here, I've managed to do it so they're evenly spaced out along here. Now on this back wall, due to it being a different length, there is a 4 wide gap in the middle there, but I think that's going to work out quite well, as once I've got the pieces for it, I can do a fire escape out of that section there. So I think that's going to be better to leave that one. Now I am getting very low on these dark brown windows, so in order to get the finished look on here, I'm going to have to order a load of these in, but I might put some black ones in just for the time being to give it a more finished look. And that's 2 sections pretty much complete. I'm getting so low on pieces now. The windows in the dark brown, I've run out of those, so I've had to use some black ones on there, some reddish brown ones at the back. Around the other side, there are no windows in there at all. Now, I may just tweak the design around these windows a little bit. I'm just worrying they're looking a little bit plain, especially when you've got all of these details along here. And the bits above the window are these modified plates here, and they're readily available on the Pick a Brick wall. So I do need to get some more of those in. Now, the window pieces, there's some black ones, there's some reddish brown ones, and it's because I ran out of the dark brown. So again, that's something else I do need to order in. And I'll try and get that order placed as quickly as possible, along with the lettering for the Joker signs that I need to make. Now, I'm going to get as much done on the top of this as possible. So this floor here, needed to make a couple of modifications to the holes on the windows. These sections here are now filled in with windows. And on the bottom of the window there, I put some of these slope pieces. I got a whole load of these off the Pick a Brick wall when I was doing my Jabba's Palace mock. So it's nice to be able to use those parts once again. So I do feel it just makes the windows look a little bit more interesting. Anyway, let's carry on building that top floor up, get as much done as possible. And once we've done so, I'll check back in and show you how it's looking. that's the brickwork for the top part all finished off now. All I need to do is get some of the modified plates in gold, get the window pieces, put them in there, and then that's that section all completed. Now, one thing I do need to do with this build is work on the Gotham Gazette sign that's going to go down the front of the building, and then also the roof section as well. So there's a fair few bits I still need to do on there, but it is, as I mentioned, so nice to have this building back together again, so I can put it back in the city and have a little bit of height in there. And here we have the building on top of the raised platform, just to give me an idea of height. It's not going to be going in this particular spot, but it will be at that level. But I'm thinking it's probably going to be down that end of the build. Just here, that's where the Old Wayne Tower is going to be, and I'm probably going to have the train station along that section just there. Now, one thing I would like to do is have it so this raised platform actually connects over to this side of the city. So it would be quite good to have it so it goes over the road. So the road's almost going through a tunnel. It won't be a massive section, probably 32, 48 studs in width, but it would just be nice to have it come over just to add a few more levels to the city. But I would like to try and get that part done quite soon. As I mentioned in the previous update, one thing I really want to crack on with is getting the raised train line put around the city, just so I can have a good idea of where other buildings are going to go. Anyway, that's all we have time for. Hope you've enjoyed this update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building Gotham and Lego, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for popping by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.